All right, hi everyone. I'm so excited to be here today with Stacey Berman Portugal, who is a colleague of mine who helps women overcome sugar cravings so they can lose stubborn weight, improve their health, and increase their energy. And one of the things I really wanted to speak to her about is intermittent fasting. And so that's actually our topic today, is using intermittent fasting to gain clarity, reset your hunger, and increase your energy, because it's something that I've done myself and I know a lot of people are really curious about. And I wanted to bring in an expert for you to understand how to use intermittent fasting. So welcome so much, Stacey.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Nicole. I'm excited to be here.
I love this topic because I think this topic is in general something that's, it's been really popular. It's becoming more and more popular to use intermittent fasting. And there's just a lot of things you have to be aware about when you're doing it. And I know, especially as a woman, there's considerations that men don't have around intermittent fasting. And so I would love for you to share with us. Can you give us an outline of how does fasting work? What does it do for you when you actually fast?
Sure. So intermittent fasting is really it's all about meal timing, and it involves the deliberate skipping of meals intermittently, so as to provide a formal feast and fasting window. And it does not change what you eat. It just changes when you eat it.
Hmm.
Okay. And it's really the intermittent nature that keeps your body guessing. So you don't want to be doing IF, any sort of lengthy IF on a daily basis. You don't want to touch your metabolism, but you're keeping your body guessing, and it prevents that homeostasis from setting in, because when we're doing the exact same things every day, our body adapts very quickly. Our bodies don't like change, so they adapt to it and they make it the norm. So you want to keep your body guessing. That's really the key about intermittent fasting.
So then how does it help you with energy then? How does it create more energy in you to do intermittent fasting?
Absolutely. So when you don't eat, it sort of starts this whole cascade of cellular and hormonal reactions in your body. And it definitely provides more energy, specifically because it makes you sharper. So when you're not eating, it does produce a little bit of cortisol, but not in the way that excessive stress or even excessive exercise produce. It gives you a little bit of that cortisol. It like I said, it sort of produces this cascade of hormonal responses. And when you have a little bit of cortisol in you, what happens is you become very aware and you have like clarity of mind. And it also, if you're eating a diet that is high in glucose, glucose is, a high sugar diet, a sugar burning metabolism tends to mess with the clarity in your mind. So when you adopt intermittent fasting, you will notice clarity. You're going to be able to focus a little better. And it's really all about this hormonal response involving cortisol and a few other components.
So interesting. Well, I know that whenever I fasted before, I am much clearer. Like my ability to focus, that brain fog everyone always talks about lifting, goes when you're in an intermittent fasting state.
Yeah, and you might notice, that you may feel even a little foggy at the beginning of your
Mm.
fast. But what you notice is that even hunger goes away, the brain fog clears, and all of a sudden you're feeling really energetic, right? Because you got a little cortisol in you. It's that fight or flight hormonal response that we all have. And then all of a sudden your mind is just so sharp, and you feel this, I want to say it's like an energy level that's really at the cellular level. It's different than, drinking caffeine and kind of buzzing along. It's a more deep-rooted type energy.
Well, then that leads me to the next question, because how is this actually different from just starving yourself and not eating at all? When you say, oh, it's fasting, is it okay to then not eat, right? That's an interesting topic, I think, especially for women who may feel challenged already around food and issues with their body. Like, how do you distinguish that for people?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There is a big difference between starving and intermittent fasting. Okay, so starving is the involuntary lack of food, and it can lead to death. So that's not something we want to do. But fasting is the intentional and controlled absence of food for just a designated period of time. And people, it's interesting that you mentioned earlier that it's becoming popular, but the truth is it's been used for centuries for religious, spiritual, even health practices. So yeah, there's a really big difference between the intentional act of starving yourself versus intermittent fasting. And the thing is you want to really be clear and healthy minded if you're starting a practice of intermittent fasting.
Right. So for women who might already have some issues around food and controlling of food, maybe not the best choice for some, but if you're able to have a healthier space and mindset around, like, I'm just looking to lose some stubborn weight and get into a clear, energetic, vital space, then intermittent fasting would be a good choice for you. Is that, I don't know if that's something where I would see that as a difference.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment for sure. But intermittent fasting also has some other benefits. It can increase your sensitivity to the hormone insulin.
Mm.
So we know that insulin is the fat storing hormone. And and because of this, you have access to better muscle building and fat burning than you would in a fasted state. It also increases your metabolism. It can help reduce inflammation. It can improve like markers of cholesterol, triglycerides. So it's actually pretty heart healthy, but definitely doing it with the right intention. I feel that it's a really great adjunct to I want to call it a low carb lifestyle, but let me just define that really quickly. Because when I say low carb, I don't mean that we're eliminating a food group or anything like that. But when you're on a whole food diet, the amount of carbohydrates that you're consuming increases naturally. And so it's a relative term being on a low carb diet. Does that make sense? It's not.
So, well, are you saying that when you're working with people on intermittent fasting, that you're working on a whole foods diet and fasting versus going just strictly into like a low carb situation?
Yes, I feel like it's a really ideal adjunct to a low carb lifestyle, a whole food lifestyle. But you don't have to intermittent fast if you're doing low carb living. Low carb living, just by the very nature of it, reduces your appetite and really sort of evens out. Because your blood sugar is so stable, it just kind of evens you out, so you're more even keel. You're not getting that afternoon crash or I just ate a meal and now I want to take a nap type feeling. So because you naturally feel that sort of stability in your blood sugar and all the good stuff that comes with that, I feel that intermittent fasting is like the perfect adjunct, but it's not required.
Okay. Very cool. And so what does it do, especially for women? What are some considerations for women around intermittent fasting?
So consideration. So tell me more.
I've just heard for some women, like with thyroid issues sometimes, or just making sure you're staying balanced and healthy with it. I think that for some women, like I know men can go a little bit more extreme on the fasting, that for women, you just have to be a little more thoughtful about it.
So definitely if you have health concerns and if you have any sort of blood sugar issues to begin with, you should definitely check with your doctor before beginning any sort of IF protocol for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done and your doctor may give you the A-OK. It's not out of the question, but I would check with your doctor.
Okay, awesome. Good to know. And then what are the real benefits? Like you've mentioned some of them, but could you just kind of summarize, like how long would you need to do it to feel the benefits?
Sure. So there are a few different protocols and you can even create your own. That's really the beauty of it. So maybe you are doing a 16-8 protocol to start with. Notice that 16 and 8 add up to 24 hours. So you'd be fasting beginning from, for example, you had dinner the night before at 7 o'clock p.m. And then what that would mean, in order to go 16 hours, and you're sleeping for part of it, you would not eat your first meal until maybe 11 a.m. And then you'd be done 8 hours later in order to finish the complete protocol. So, and it's not going to change what you eat. You're going to eat your on-plan meal, whatever that is for you. But gosh, there are so many benefits. So one of the things I love about intermittent fasting, besides the physical benefits, the medical benefits, the hormonal benefits, that kind of thing, is, first of all, it makes your day much simpler in terms of meal planning. I mean, believe it or not, when you are trying to stick to a healthy protocol, the less decisions you have to make, the less chances you will find yourself in a high-risk situation. So it's simple. Some of the other benefits might be, you may feel, I wouldn't suggest starting like a whole new exercise routine or doing anything intense or excessive on a fasting day, but you are going to feel that added energy. So you are going to, whatever your normal exercise routine, if that feels good on that day, you're going to feel great doing it, and you're going to actually build muscle more easily than you would in a fed state. Also, I just feel like intermittent fasting just really provides this sense of control. It can help you stick with the plan and increase your confidence, and it can really get you past a plateau. Like if you're two things, it can get you past a plateau, so your weight loss is feeling real stubborn, it's not going anywhere. But also, if you are just struggling with, push past a plateau, and also if you're struggling with any sort of, I forgot what I was going to say. I hate that. Apparently, I've not been fasting. But yeah, so you can be hydrated. So you're not going to dehydrate or anything like that. I mean, it's a great opportunity to push those fluids. It helps with your digestion. So there are just numerous benefits with intermittent fasting.
I mean, I found that for myself. I've done it many different times in different ways, and I've always liked it. And I still tend to kind of do a little bit, not 16/8 exactly, but more like a long morning fast and then before I eat. So I totally get it. I think it's really awesome.
Yeah.
So Stacy, thank you so much for sharing all of your great knowledge. Where can people find you or hear about you or learn more from you?
Absolutely. So online, they can find me at www.staceyportugal.com. That is Stacy with an EY.
Yes.
And then on Facebook, I have a free community that offers tons of tips, tons of free content to help you move forward in your journey. And that is on Facebook at Sugar Breakthrough Community, and also on Instagram at Sugar Breakthrough Diet Plan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stacy, for all your knowledge and information for our community. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.